I'm a big proponent of communion on the tongue.
Yes.
It's important. I feel, you know how Jesus said in divorce that it was only a concession that Moses gave?
Yeah.
The bill of divorce. It was because of your hardness of heart that he had to give a concession. I believe communion in the hand was a concession because of the stubbornness of the people in the United States, of our individualism, and the USCCB got this indult. So you're not sinning by receiving in the hand. I got to be clear on that. People think that I say you're sinning. You are not. But you can see the importance of receiving on the tongue, and I can go through many reasons why. But we had a kneeler prior to the altar rail, one kneeler in the front, and people would kneel down and we would give on the tongue. And then we realized we need to expand, and we went to the altar rail.
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah, and it was my decision, and I fully approve that. And a lot of people were surprised. I said, no, this is the way we're going. I do have to add one thing, Matt, that's funny. Not funny, but eye-opening. You know who Maria Sima is? She's a famous mystic.
Okay.
She wrote Get Us Out of Here, a book on purgatory. Holy souls appear to her.
Okay.
She made a very interesting comment that bishops, that receiving communion in the hand was not a sin because the church granted the indult. But the bishops who approved it will remain in purgatory until the rule is changed.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, there's been this big push for a Eucharistic revival in the church, and I think much good work has been done, and I'm grateful to the bishops and priests who have promoted that. But it seems to me, from where I'm standing, and you tell me if I'm wrong, that if we want to increase the faithful's reverence of the Holy Eucharist, face east, give us altar rails. It's that simple. Be sure to download Truthfully. Truthfully is like ChatGPT went to OCIA, got baptized, and now is on a mission to evangelize the world. Check it out, truthfully.ai. And I think this is great advice for multiple reasons, but one of the good reasons is there are many confused and hurting Catholics right now who are leaving the church for some sedevacantist group or Eastern Orthodoxy. And sometimes I'm sympathetic with why they leave. I don't agree with them leaving, but I'm sympathetic because they just desire reverence. They desire to have their faith treated with seriousness, yeah? Okay, well, just how about we do that? And I don't understand. It breaks my heart when I speak to priests who are afraid to do it because they'll know they'll get a slap on the wrist and they'll get moved out to some remote parish somewhere. Tell me if I'm overstating the case. If I'm not overstating it, what is your advice to the priests and even bishops? I've had a few bishops tell me they listen to this show on this area, in this area.
First of all, I agree with you. I do empathize as well, as long as you're not rejecting the Novus Ordo Mass. That's my stance. I embrace, Pope Benedict talked about the hermeneutic of continuity, okay? We have two beautiful forms, and there's nothing wrong with having two beautiful forms of the Mass. I completely embrace the extraordinary form. I support it. I've been lobbying to find a way to, by doing it here at the shrine, we are looking to offer the extraordinary form Mass at the shrine. I feel almost an obligation because the shrines are one place that it can be allowed, different from like a regular parish. My opinion is this, the priest should not be afraid. First of all, they did have more freedom, if you will, prior to Pope Francis, because there was a lot of questions about, well, Pope Benedict, we know. The problem is now with the latest rulings and motu proprios and things given by Pope Francis, more restriction. Okay, we ought to know. So I empathize with those who are also afraid to do that. So you know what I mean? You empathize with those who do break away to go with, but I also empathize with those who are afraid to. Okay. The problem is, let's get to the root of the problem. The problem isn't, should our priests have courage to stand up to it? The thing is, let's go to the root of the problem. This should never be treated as the extraordinary form should never be treated as an invalid form of the Mass. And this is how it's being taken in some of the, well, now we have to get permission from the dicastery. It used to be Pope Benedict made it such that the priest himself could make that decision.
Right.
Then we had to go to the bishop.
Yeah.
All of a sudden now it has to go to the dicastery.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not talking about the Latin Mass. When I say ad orientem and alter hours, I'm just like,
within the Novus Ordo.
that's what I'm talking
I'm sorry.
about.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Maybe I wasn't clear.
Yeah.
But my point was, if we want to rejuvenate devotion to the
100%.
Holy Eucharist, it seems like these are two easy things you could do.
Show me in the Vatican II documents where it says to turn the altar around.
Yeah.
Tell me in the Vatican II documents where it says to remove the altar rails.
So, all the priests who are watching this and are sympathetic to what you and I are saying, they agree with you. But I guess my question is, how do they approach their bishop and get permission? Because I'm talking to individual priests around the country who are saying, I would love to do this. The faithful desire it.
Yeah.
What's
My
funny, you go to
understanding-
Franciscan University of Steubenville right now,
Yeah.
and you go to a daily mass, the majority of the women are veiling. The majority of people are kneeling for communion.
Yeah.
So even if you wanted to take we're going with the Spirit, then you should be putting up altar rails.
I know it's a little different in the diocese than it is in religious life, but I did not ask for permission to put the altar rail in. I did it.
Who would you presumably ask? The bishop?
And what is it? It's better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission.
But I do think that is a tactic that a priest could take with his bishop to say, hey, I'm seeing these people leaving the church.
Mm-hmm.
And so how about instead of them leaving the church for some sedevacantis group,
Right.
we implemented what they desire to make the Mass more reverent.
100% with you. Yeah. I agree 100% with you.
Thanks very much for watching that clip. You can click the link below if you want to watch the full interview. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.